Hi everyone, welcome to the Vet View. Today we're here with the National Sales Manager for the Armed Forces Vacation Club, Fred Walz. Thank you for being here today with us, Fred.
No problem.
So we wanted to talk just a little bit about your military experience, about your experience on the other side in the civilian world. So can you tell me a little bit about, I know you were former Army, you retired out as a major.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about what made you join the Army, what made you want to be a soldier.
Well, I guess it all started, probably my dad was a former Marine, so he kind of, instilled some military values in me growing up. And I always had a desire to join the military. So right out of high school, I went to college and decided that I really wasn't doing too well in college. And believe it or not, I went to join ROTC, but not on a scholarship. And after 2 years of college, they offered me a scholarship. I guess they were giving them away. So I took the scholarship, and I knew I was going into the armed forces, into the military as an Army officer. So I guess the reason doing it was I didn't want my parents to pay for an education that I knew I wasn't getting. So I said, let me take the scholarship, and I'll get my education on my own terms, and that's what I did. So I joined the military, yeah.
So I know that in a lot of the services you can go in on what's called an open contract, and that basically means you get the luck of the draw, whatever they give you. Now you were a pilot, so was that something that you personally chose, or was that something you kind of got pushed into?
Believe it or not, I was branched ordnance when I got out of when I became a commissioned officer, and that didn't seem prestigious to me. So I kind of looked at other avenues, and me and my buddy decided to pursue aviation. And with the luck of the draw, there was some slots available, and they passed our physicals, and we got lucky, and we went aviation. So it was not meant to be ordnance, and I decided aviation is all right. It's a cool area to go into, so that's what I did. I went into aviation.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
Pilots
it
are
was.
awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I decided to do.
So now, what year did you join?
I graduated in 1988 and came out of second lieutenant in 1988.
Okay, so you were obviously in on September 11th. Did you deploy on any missions?
September 11th happened. We actually, I was based in National Guard, New Jersey, and we did a few. They closed the airspace, but they let the helicopters, military helicopters, since we were so close, we did some circling around New York and New York City, and just, I guess, maintain the airspace and check out what was going on. But nothing really as far as, bringing people anywhere or, carrying any dignitaries. We didn't do anything like that. It was kind of one little trip around New York City, and then we kind of all landed and waited to see what was really going on.
Okay. Now, you did deploy twice to Iraq. So can you tell us a little bit about what you were doing while you were over there, maybe a little bit about your experience, because everyone that you speak to, their experience is different,
Correct. Contingent
on what your job was or where you were. So tell me a little bit about
Well, my first deployment was in 2005, and that was the first deployment for New Jersey. So everybody was a little hesitant, a little scared, me included. So we had pre-mob for about 6 months at Fort Dix, and that was quite a long time. We were locked down for almost all those 6 months, and then we deployed over to Kuwait. From Kuwait, part of us flew up to Iraq, and part of us took a convoy up to Iraq. And I felt I could have jumped in an aircraft and flew up to Iraq, but I decided to take to volunteer and take the convoy up to Iraq, and that was probably the best thing I ever did, just because I gained the respect of the enlisted soldiers, and it was something I'll never forget. It was awesome. But once we got into Iraq, I was the S1, basically personnel for the commander, and I would take care of all the problems that arose back at home. Unfortunately, a lot of divorce problems and stuff like that, separation and stuff. But and I did some missions there. I didn't fly as much as the warrant officers did, but I did some flying just to maintain my currency. and we did that for a year. So it was a great mission, or a great deployment, and something I'll never forget.
Very good experience. So you are unique in that you are our first guest who was actually an officer. And so there's a bit of a difference between enlisted and officer. When you graduate from college and you come in, then you're a commissioned officer.
Correct.
So as an officer, what was the best part and the most challenging part of being in the Army and being in the military?
Best part was leading, being a leader. I always like to lead people. There's a certain air about yourself, getting up there and saying, "Follow me." You wouldn't do anything unless you did it first. Mm-hmm. So that was exciting. I always loved to be a leader. The hardest thing was basically getting your soldiers to trust you.
Right.
That was the hardest thing. But I earned their respect, and I'm pretty decent. I think I'm a pretty decent leader, commander. So I don't think I had a problem. I had most people, follow me. So.
Hopefully, guy. So you transitioned out of the military last May, correct?
Correct.
So can you describe a little bit about what your transition was like? I think that's a very big deal, a very big topic right now, the transition of service members into the civilian sector. So what was your transition like? Were there any obstacles that you had to overcome?
Well, believe it or not, I thought it would be a lot easier than it was. Mm-hmm. I thought, since I was an officer, I thought transferring to the civilian world would be somewhat easy, just because, as an officer, you have the education, the leadership. But I'll tell you, I ran into a lot of obstacles. Just, I don't know if it was the economy, it just happened to be not that great at the time. But I was on social media, I was on LinkedIn, I was on everything you could imagine. I mean, my email was out there more so than anything. And you'd always, encounter a shut door. You'd have to, do something and, continue, thank you, but, keep me in mind, letters, and just, persevere, push through, and hopefully, like I said, you throw enough stuff at a door, something's got to stick. And, luckily, well, not luckily, but Sandy did hit back in New York, New Jersey area. And I went, and Heroes to Hire actually called me up and asked me if, I wanted to do, it was public adjusting. And I said, sure. And, the money was a contract.
Right. So
I said, sure. I had nothing else going on. My unemployment ran out. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of, at wit's end. So I took it. I was living in Long Island for 6 days a week in a hotel. My wife was not too happy about it. Money's money. So I did that for 4 years while interviewing, not 4 years, I'm sorry, 4 months while interviewing while I worked. And next thing I know, I found this Armed Forces Vacation Club national sales manager in Monster or Korea, I can't remember which one, and I went ahead and pursued it, and after 3 interviews later, they hired me, and everything else has been fantastic.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. The company's fantastic to me, and I can't be more excited.
So we'll talk about the Armed Forces Vacation Club a little bit more later, but you mentioned Hero to Hire and how you ended up going on with them and volunteering and working with FEMA. So were there any other organizations that you worked with, any that stand out to you that were really instrumental in helping you transition?
The only reason I can remember Heroes to Hire is because they called me back and they found me a job, and I guess kept my name on file and everything. But there were so many veteran organizations. I can't remember exactly all of them, but there's a ton of them out there. You go on online and you can see hit veteran organizations or unemployment or employment, and you can just I'd say hundreds, but I can't remember off the top of my head which ones.
So would you say, I am personally of the persuasion that if you're looking for something, especially as a veteran, and veterans are such a big topic, right, especially right now. I think sometimes veterans get out and they don't necessarily do all the research that they can do to find the organizations and the nonprofits that are out there that can help them. Would you say that part of the reason that you succeeded was the fact that you hit the ground running and you went out and you researched and you looked for things that could help?
Oh, certainly. I mean, there's a lot of programs out there that will help you. You know, you can go to the VA. I mean, there's all kinds of programs. You can come in. You can go over your resume with them. I mean, there's so many, just so many great things out there to help the veteran. But you have to take the bull by the you know what and go ahead and take the first step. They're not going to come looking for you. You got to go out there and keep pursuing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now jumping back to your job as the National Sales Manager, you said for the Armed Forces Vacation Club. So I know what it is because I absolutely love the website and the organization. Can you tell me just a quick synopsis about who you guys are and what you do?
Armed Forces Vacation Club basically started in 1999. It's a great program. It's used by active duty, veterans, National Guard, Reserve, retirees, and DoD employees, and it's basically a 7-night stay for $349 at a vacation resort in probably 100 countries, and we have probably almost a 250,000 inventory of vacation resorts, and it's just a great program where those individuals I mentioned can spend a beautiful 7-night vacation somewhere. They have the amenities exist like kitchens, you know, pools. They have there's so much to offer. I mean, depending on what resort you stay at, but it's just a great opportunity to take some time off. I mean, the military deserve it.
Right.
So it's a fantastic program, and I'd say take advantage of it if you have the time. I know time's tough, but if you have the time, take advantage of it.
Absolutely, and it's only $349 per week. Now, whether you stay one day or you stay 1 week, the cost is still $349.
Correct.
And the reason I love this so much is because we're not talking about Motel 6s here, people.
No,
we're talking about
nice.
In Egypt, these beautiful gilded
They're
resorts.
nice resorts, yes.
Awesome.
They're nice resorts. And the inventory just constantly rotates, so you just got to, you know, continuously look online because, you know, someone will take it 1 week and then it'll be put back online, and just the inventory, you never know what's going to be available. So you just got to take the time, and just like you're pursuing a job, you got to look.
Great. So now if someone wants to go to the website and they want some more information, what website would they go to?
They go to www.armedforcesafvclub.com.
Okay. All right. And so just closing out, thank you so much for coming on and speaking with us today. What words of advice do you have as a leader, as a former officer, for your fellow veterans who are going to be transitioning out? And then on the flip side of that, what words do you have for civilians who, like I said, the reason I started this show was because I felt like there was a disconnect. So what would you say to them about the veteran community and who we are?
I'd say, first of all, to the veterans, don't give up. It is tough, but I mean, if you got to persevere, continue to look. There are jobs out there. I mean, they won't come to you. You got to go out and grab it. All right. Second thing is to the civilian population. There's a lot of great vets out there. A lot of great vets, and they have a lot of the tools that you're looking for. And I'd say just give them a chance because you know, being in the military, they did instill some great values for you know, that we as soldiers used, and it could transfer over into the civilian world fabulously. So keep an eye out for the veterans.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Fred, for coming on the show today. Guys, if you want to catch up with Fred, you can catch up with him on LinkedIn at Fred Walz, W-A-L-Z, correct?
Correct.
W-A-L-Z. Or you can go to the Armed Forces Vacation Club website at www.afvclub.com. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time on the Vet View.